Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, which a lot of you probably are because this video was requested by TikTok, which follow me on there if you like. But if you're new here, hello, my name's Chiz, my pronouns are they, them, and I do things on here sometimes. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made my The Cure sweater. Sort of, because I made another one. This is the one that I made that's similar. It's actually better than mine and I'm kind of mad about it. That one is going to be up on my Etsy. Link in the description if you're interested in buying it. But yeah, I'm going to show you my whole process of how I made it. To make the sweater, I made use of 3 different printing techniques. So I did block printing, screen printing, and sun printing, or like with solarfast. Also, I just wanted to say that if you make this or attempt to make something similar, please tag me on Instagram or TikTok. I would love to see it. But yeah, without further ado, let us get into the video. The first process I'm going to be showing is solarfast, and this is how I made the pictures of Robert Smith. So I'm just using a white t-shirt that I thrifted, and I just use these to make the prints. So I'm cutting it to the size of my negative. I will link a video on the process of solarfast, but basically you have to have your picture, make it black and white, and then invert the colors. I know that there's a special like solarfast transparent paper that you're supposed to use, but I just get my prints at Staples, as in the prints of my negatives, and then I ask them to print it on transparency sheets, and that has been working out for me. So if you do not have the money to buy those solarfast transparency sheets, I suggest you do that. Now I got the white fabric to size, so I'm going to start putting the solarfast on it, and I am using the color brown. I have historically gotten the best prints with brown, so that's what I'm using. And you have to shake it really well. They really emphasize that on the bottle, so just shake it as much as you can. Then I use foam to apply it to my fabric. The foam really absorbs a lot of it, so if anyone knows a better way to do this, please let me know in the comments. And make sure to saturate it. Like, I know you don't want to waste this stuff, but like I have tried to like rumple the fabric and make it like spread faster, but it doesn't print as well, so just make sure to dab every surface. And then you want to use a paper towel and like just dab it a little bit so it's not like soaking wet, but you still want it to be pretty damp in order to get a good print. And I just turned it over and dabbed on the back too. I don't know, I've never done that before, but it worked out. Now it's time to take this outside, and I'm placing it on this canvas panel that I have. It's covered with like this film, so it's kind of waterproof. I've never used it before, and this gave me the best print I've ever gotten, so I do suggest putting it on something flat and waterproof like that. And then you're gonna put your negative on it, and if you have words on it, make sure they're facing the right way. And then I'm going to put a piece of glass on it to keep it in place and to keep it flat. Now it's time to expose it in the sun or any exposure unit if you have one, but I just used the sun, and today was weird. The sun was kind of hiding behind the clouds and coming out and hiding back, as you can see, but it's so pretty though. But I didn't need it to be pretty, I needed it to be sunny. The sun eventually did come out, and I think the bottle of brown solarfast says to expose it for like 15 minutes or so, but I did 30 minutes, and I read that it's better to overexpose if the darkest parts of your negative are completely black and flat on the thing. And it came out awesome. Like, I was so happy. This was the best print I've ever gotten. Now it's time to wash it, which is always scary. I'm always scared that the beautiful print is gonna get washed out, but this one actually came out good. I think because it was just a good print in general, and that's how it should be. For this, I'm using the solarfast wash, which is specifically for this process, and it's very important because if you don't use this, your print is going to continue like the dyeing process when you go out in the sun. In the solarfast video that I watched, they did say to use the hottest water you could find, and the first time I did this, I like would go boil water, and I think that was too hot because it was washing off some of the dye that I actually needed to stay on there. So I would suggest like hot water, but you know, like probably the hottest water you can find in the sink. And if you don't have hot water running in your sink, you could cook some water, but don't let it boil Just let it get to a point where you can touch it and not get burnt. And don't worry if you get it too hot, you can always just mix it with cold water. But yeah, hot, but not like scalding. This stuff also smells weird, which makes me not want to touch it. So I just mix it around in there with a plastic ruler that I have that broke, but I still use anyways. I just mix it around in there. I also think you're supposed to wear gloves, but I don't. Don't be like me, I guess. At some point, I change the water and then I just try to rinse off all the solarfast dye wash that's on there, and then I let it air dry. So let's move on to the next process, which is screen printing. So the screen I'm making is of like all the Cure logos that I put on the back. So I'm taking off a screen that I already have made. It's the Mitski one because I kind of got a cease and desist for that one. Which, fair enough. Plus I have two of them and it's just been sitting here till I have something else to do with it. And I do now, so I'm cutting off the old design. I'm not going to go too in-depth here because I have a video on my channel that is solely dedicated to how I DIY my screens and make them for way cheaper than you would be able to just buy a screen for. So yeah, go check that out if you are interested in how I make my screens. When I got time to coat the screen in the emulsion, I just closed my curtains and I turned on my yellow LED lights just because I know that people use yellow lights in their dark rooms, and I figured it's yellow and it's a light, so I should be able to be fine. And yeah, when I got done coating it as evenly as I could, propped them up on some pins and I put them in my dark room, aka under my bed. And you have to let it dry for at least 4 hours before using it. I literally had to wake up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday to complete this process because I wanted it to be dry by the time it was between 11 and 1, because that's when the sun is like at the highest point in the sky, which is awesome for screen printing. I could have just done it overnight, but I'm impatient and wanted to finish it in one day. And I did, and it was good, so I'm happy. Okay, so now it's time to actually use the screen, and I am printing with white ink on a black fabric. This is a black t-shirt that I bought at Joann, and I'm just using it for the material. And let's see how it turned out. Good. Moving on to block printing now. I actually made these block prints back in January. As you can see, I still had the blonde hair, which is crazy. Anyways, I found the logo online and I traced it onto this paper with a charcoal pencil. Something that I noticed that I'm doing in this video is watching solarfast videos while making like my first block print, and I just think that is so me. And this is like 2 months before I even buy the materials for solarfast. But anyways, I finish my boldening of the letters and then I transfer it onto the rubber block and it comes out awesome. So now it's time for me to start carving. It was super fun, but I was kind of bad at it. You're not supposed to be like me. You're supposed to poke away from you. I did cut myself a couple of times, but yeah, so just poke away from your body. Okay, back to present day. These are the colors I'm mixing and using, and I'm stamping them onto the back of like a failed solarfast print because I don't want to waste the fabric and I don't like the way it looks just plain white. So I like using like the back of one of my many failed projects. Also, a side note that on this day I made the best cup of tea I've ever made in my entire life. I don't think I'll ever be able to replicate it, but it's fine. It's fine. I keep telling myself it's fine. Anyways, I wanted to add something to the pocket of the hoodie because it was looking pretty empty down there, and I was going to add this star with my logo that I also made a block of, but it ended up looking weird. Not by itself, I think it looks pretty cool and I still have it, but it just looked weird with the whole hoodie because everything was brown and green and then this was just black and white and it didn't balance the color out really well. So I decided to do a solarfast version of the star, and then it also came out weird because it ended up being too brown, which was just too dark for what I wanted. And so I didn't film the process, but I ended up mixing brown and green solarfast, and then I put some objects on it, and then I painted my logo on transparency paper because I didn't want to go to the store and print it out, and it actually came out okay. This isn't it, by the way, but it's kind of similar to this. It did set me back like 2 weeks because I was racking my brain on what to do. Like, that did not come to me as easy as I just said it, but I eventually worked something out. But in the meantime, I laid out the other stuff that were good. I also cut the rubber into fours and I pinned them down to cover what needed to be covered. And as you can see, on the back of the hoodie is the big screen printed patch, and that covered it up really nicely. Now it got time to sew, and I don't want to bore you with a bunch of footage of me sewing. This video is long enough already. Everything was fairly easy to sew on except for the star, that goddamn star on the pocket. It was so difficult because the pocket is so small. I ended up actually hand sewing it, and that was actually the easiest thing. That star sent me back like 3 weeks on this project because I was just like, how am I going to make this star like machine sewable onto the pocket? I was actually about to rip the seam of the pocket, but I don't know, sometimes the simple solutions just get away from you. But yeah, hand sewing was definitely the best thing that I did, and it added a nice little touch, so that's awesome. And now that we are done sewing, it is time for the funnest part, which is block printing again and other finishing touches. So I have these stars that I cut up, different kinds of stars, and yeah, I just primed the stars on that other piece of fabric, if you're wondering what I'm doing, because it needs to be primed first so it prints well. And now I'm just printing all the little stars and spirals and little decor things that I have. And then I'm also putting some grommets on there because I got this grommet maker and God, I can't get enough of it. I did some on the sleeves and along the pockets. And that was it, or so I thought. Upon further inspection, I found this little hole and I didn't really know what to do with it. So I just zigzag stitched over it with red, and I think it looks kind of cool, personally. I also added a block printed tag of Humandizeaze, which is my clothing brand. And if you are interested in buying this hoodie, I will have it up on my Etsy, but this is the final sweater. I love it more than the one I made myself. I'm kind of jealous of whoever ends up with it. But yeah, this is the front and this is the back. And I'm going to give you a close-up of some of the details. So there's the grommets, and this is also what it looks like on the reverse side of the grommets because it is pretty smooth, but you can definitely tell that they're there, so just be aware of that. But yeah, it's pretty wild to see the transformation of the sweater go from this to that. Like, that is just wild to see how it looked before, so I'm really happy I documented this. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my Etsy, and don't forget to tag me if you attempt any of this. As always, have a good rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!